foods and all the allergies that processed foods cause, and we just decided we're going to raise our own food.
I just didn't want all the chemicals in our lives for our own use when we first started, and it just kind of evolved from there.
From the beginning, these new farmers rejected the chemical approach used by industrial farming in favor of something more sustainable. Their approach was called organic agriculture.
Just not using herbicides and pesticides or not using commercial fertilizer is really not all about organics. Organics are about doing it right and cultivating that soil culture.
At Michigan State University, horticulture professor John Bierenbaum created the university's first program on organic agriculture.
And take a big handful of soil like this and look under a microscope and say, well, there's a lot of living organisms in there. We now know that in about that amount of soil, in a cup of soil, if it was truly healthy and had a lot of food for the organisms, there can be as many living organisms in there as there are people on the planet. So in an organic system, what we're trying to do is to feed that soil, feed the organisms in the soil.
The soil is a living thing, and if you don't feed the soil to keep it alive, just like our bodies, it's going to die.
In the growing movement for an agriculture that nourished the soil, farmers began to focus on the positive impact of small-scale grass-fed animal production on soil health. At the same time, there was explosive growth in animal factory production. In factory farm production, thousands of animals are confined in large-scale buildings to facilitate handling. Their diets can include antibiotics and hormones to maximize production. There is little access to fresh air or freedom to express their natural behaviors. Industrial levels of waste accumulate, threatening water quality. In the sustainable farming alternative, small numbers of animals are raised on pasture, with access to the outdoors. Their diets are diverse and do not include antibiotics or hormones. And because animals are raised in ways that respect their natures, waste becomes an asset that nourishes the soil without endangering the water.
We see the farm as an organism itself, a whole living organism where everything is tied in together. The chickens are actually putting something into it. The cows are putting something into it. The pigs are doing their own thing.
As a lot of people want to get back to the way Grandpa and Grandma raised chicken on pasture, just free roaming, and they'd like to have that taste on their table again.
It's the original food. It hasn't been tampered with or processed, or it's produced the way it's supposed to be. So it makes sense to me.
Organic food sales increased from $178 million in 1980 to $13 billion in 2004, a 7,500% increase. Organic food sales tripled in the last 6 years alone.
I think there is no question that in our society, in our culture today, what people purchase matters. And so people's purchasing habits have a big effect on what happens from a policy standpoint and from a production and distribution and processing standpoint.
In 1990, Congress passed the Organic Foods Production Act to develop national standards for organically produced agricultural products. Today, the National Organic Program, the NOP, governs certification, production, and labeling requirements for organic foods. Organic food grown and processed according to NOP rules carries the USDA organic label. But not all farmers who grow organically choose to be certified.
The standards are not high enough. If that can happen with a chicken, where it can be raised in a factory-type house and be labeled organic, in that instance, for certain, the standards aren't high enough.
It doesn't have anything to do with the quality. And it's the quality that people who have grown up with organic, who have that sense of in balance with nature and working with all the forces quality is number one.
Under NOP rules, a long-distance organic food system developed that grew organic crops as commodities, much like the conventional food system it sought to replace. This industrial organic food was neither fresh nor local.
Most of the surveys indicate between 25 and 30% of food customers want to know where the food came from. They would like to know the place. They would prefer to have some connection with the farmer, to know what the farmer's face is like. They want to know what the animals are treated like. They want to know there was good environmental stewardship. And they would prefer to have a conversation about that.
In May 2004, a group of consumers and farmers in Sioux City, Iowa, organized the Floyd Boulevard Local Foods Market, the nation's first farmers market to exclusively sell locally grown, organically raised produce and products from humanely raised animals. It was an immediate success.
In many people's minds, local and organic need to be synonymous, so that what people are looking for is local and organic.
We have a wonderful opportunity to take these smaller and mid-sized farmers who can identity preserve their product, bring it into the marketplace with all of that food story that people want.
In July 2005, the nation's second farmers market based on the Floyd Boulevard values of healthy, humane, homegrown was organized in Muskegon, Michigan. Called the Sweetwater Local Foods Market, it moved the rebuilding of local food systems to the next level, the one that dealt directly with consumer concerns about health.
I would say 95% of our customer base is health-based customers coming out. It's either cancer patients, people that have weight trouble, folks out there just want to eat better.
Normal people with health problems who just want to eat healthy are getting into this anymore, and just the whole marketability of it has changed in the customers. So you just start educating them and they start to get it. It starts to click.
I feel a whole lot better because you don't get all that stuff, other chemicals and stuff in your food and stuff. I feel a whole lot better. And I think I look better too.
So what's at stake is our ability to generate a healthy diet for our population so that they have the capacity from a dietary standpoint to realize their potential as human beings.
As a consumer, you want to support your local farmer. And then ask the questions of how nutritious is your food that you're selling? You know, what are your practices? What do you believe? And through that, you're telling that farmer to change his or her practices and try to be more in balance with what is natural.
The reinvention of the local food system will affect economic health as well. Muskegon County spends over $340 million a year on food. Less than 1% of that amount is grown locally. If Muskegon households spent just $9 a week on food grown by local farmers, it would produce $100 million in new economic activity.
People with economic development will knock themselves out in a county the size of Muskegon or Oceana for $1 million or $2 million in payroll every year. Now you get the chance with just changing your habits 10%. That's money that the community makes and gets recycled in the community.
We can redesign this system. We can redesign the economy. We can redesign public policy.
There is a tremendous opportunity out there, I think, to increase direct marketing, which basically puts about 95 cents of the food dollar in farmers' hands.
We know that there are biologically sound, socially responsible systems of farming that are here today that are as productive as are the industrial systems, the conventional industrial systems that are in place.
A new public square is being created, one with healthy, locally grown food at its center, and with it, has come a new sense of community, a feeling of hope about the future. It all begins with being intentional about our food, about what we will eat.
It was really neat to be able to talk to the farmers that were growing these foods. I hope people realize eating healthy isn't eating boring, that there's a lot of good options and it doesn't have to be expensive.
Sally Fallon says, you know, you can invest in your health or subsidize your illness, and we really believe that.
If it's for your health,
well, if it's worth it, if it's for your health. And honestly, I mean,
everybody should be eating this way.
I think it's the future. I think people are going to realize that this is the only way to actually eat.
I think it should be the future. I do. Because I've been telling people about the organic stuff, and they see how I look and how I feel and stuff too. And they said they were going to, you know, change too.
We're going to move to a fundamentally better way of living and a better way of farming and a better way of treating animals and a better way of relating to the other species on Earth, and that's going to come about in our pursuit of something that will last, something that's sustainable.
Hopefully people are waking up and that the government is not going to take care of us. We have to take care of each other. It's our love for the land, our love for each other that's going to sustain us.
I think if people have a choice to buy local and to buy things that don't have chemicals and that are humanely treated, I just don't see that, I don't really feel like people would make the choice not to do that. The more information we have about health and nutrition, I think it's going to grow.
For more information about the movement for a healthy, humane, homegrown food supply, visit our website at www.sweetwaterlocalfoodsmarket.org.